Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a nice, warm evening. All right. Tonight we've got the great pleasure of having Campbell White of Trading Pub with us. He's got some very interesting trading techniques for binary options, so I'm not going to take up any time. I'm going to let Campbell come right on because I know a lot of people have been asking about this type of thing. So, Campbell, welcome to the Candlestick Forum. We're anxious to see your information.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. First of all, can everyone hear me okay? Just a little yes or no? Very good. Well, first of all, I think it's a great pleasure to be able to present to Stephen's forum. I've been a big fan of his since I started trading, and I use many of his indicators daily to help me make decisions on how to trade Nadex binary options. And tonight's topic is going to be on high probability breakfast, lunch, and dinner trades that risk less than $100 per contract. I'll be talking about what Nadex binary options are. I'm going to give you a guided tour of the platform, and I'm going to be talking about a breakfast, lunch, and dinner strategy for trading Nadex. I'll also give you some links and some resources where you can get great information and strategies on how to trade Nadex binary options. But first, trading disclaimer. Trading binary options involves risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your circumstances, knowledge, and financial resources. And always remember that past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. I'm going to be moving really quickly during this presentation. So if you can, try to hold some questions till the end of this presentation, because I'm going to be going through 3 strategies, and I may be answering a lot of your questions in the meantime. About myself, I'm a partner relationship manager for a trading pub, and what I do is I interact with some of the best speakers for stocks, options, futures, forex, and Nadex in the world, and Stephen Bigelow has been a great partner to work with, and it's always enjoyable when he presents with Trading Pub. And I'm a huge fan of the T-line, his indicators, stochastics. I use those every day to make decisions. I'm also Trading Pub's in-house Nadex expert, and that was my first responsibility when I came on board with Trading Pub in June of 2014, was to dive into Nadex, figure out what it is and how to trade on it. And once I got into it, I fell in love with it. It perfectly fits my trading personality, and I'll explain why. I'm also the author of the Inquisitive Trader blog. What I do is I take a Nadex strategy almost daily. I break it down, talk about the rules of the strategy, what time frame it was implemented in, and how the strategy played out, whether it was successful and in the money or whether it was unsuccessful and why. And I'm also the author of something called the Probability Report, which is a monthly Nadex newsletter that features Nadex educational events, articles, and a webinar. So what are Nadex binary options? Nadex binary options have been called yes or no trades. Each trade has a maximum value of $100 per contract traded, and that means the absolute most you can make or lose on a contract is $100. You always know before you trade what your maximum risk and maximum reward will be before you trade. And what you're doing with Nadex is you're making a decision about the likely direction of a major index, commodity, or forex pair relative to a strike price within a defined time period of your choosing. As long as that trade is active within that time period, you cannot get stopped out. You can hold your trade until the expiration of the time period, or you can exit that trade early if you want to take an early profit, or if the trade want to minimize losses. So how do they work? I'm going to use an example. Let's say it's 12 o'clock noon and the current price of gold is $12.54 and it's climbing. It's riding above the T-line beautifully. It's above all the moving averages. stochastics aren't overbought. Everything is indicating that gold in the next hour and a half is going to move north and it's not going to come back. And from that information, you believe that gold will not go down by 130. You have a very strong opinion and all your indicators agree. What you would do is go to Nadex and take a look at what strike prices they have available. And let's say that Nadex has a strike price sitting at $12.50 with a 130 expiration. You have an hour and a half left in the trade. You are convinced that gold is going to continue to move north, and the market agrees with that. So what you're going to do is you're going to place a Nadex binary option saying, a statement, that you believe that gold is going to be above $12.50 by the close of market at 130. If the marketplace determines, the buyers and sellers in the Nadex exchange determine there's a 70% chance that that's going to happen, then you're likely going to risk $70 to make $30 on a high probability trade. Conversely, if you feel that there's going to be a reversal and the market's actually going to settle below $12.50 by 130, and the marketplace determines that there's a 30% chance that that's going to happen, then you would risk $30 to make $70 on a lower probability trade. Okay, so what is Nadex? Nadex is the North American Derivatives Exchange. It is a wholly owned subsidiary of the IG Group, which is based in the UK, and it's listed on the FTSE 100 index. Nadex is based in Chicago and is subject to stringent regulatory oversight by the CFTC. Broker. Your orders are placed directly on the exchange, so you're not paying broker commissions. Your member funds, your deposits, are held in a segregated bank in the United States, and there is full transparency on every trade. Nadex does not take positions for or against you in the market. Basically what Nadex does is it's facilitating a trade between a buyer and a seller. When I was talking about that gold example, if I believe there was a 70% probability that the gold was going to be above $12.50, for that trade to occur, Nadex had to find someone who had a contrary opinion that believed that there was a 30% chance that gold would actually be below $12.50. They facilitate the transaction between the buyer and the seller, and the way Nadex makes money is collecting a 90 cent per contract per side exchange fee. Nadex was previously available only to legal residents of the United States, Canada, Mexico, and U.S. territories. As of last week, they are now expanding into 49 countries. And what that's going to do is bring tremendous liquidity into this trading instrument. There are going to be better bid-ask spreads. There are going to be better propositions, strike prices, and instruments being traded. I'm very excited about that, and I'm also excited about that for people who live overseas that like the idea of trading binary options, but they haven't had any good choices available to them. There are a lot of unscrupulous outfits overseas that are unregulated that people have had a lot of problems with. I'm not going to get into that, but I've heard way too many nightmare stories about unregulated binary options brokers. So how do you place a Nadex binary options trade? Everything starts with your opinion on the direction a market is headed. And that's where the T-line, Stevens indicators, Ichimoku cloud, whatever you use can help you make an educated guess whether the S&P 500 is going to be going south, whether gold, whether Forex pairs are going to be moving up or down. You need to have an educated opinion and probably a good strategy. And then you can choose, within Nadex, you can trade from popular Forex pairs, stock indices, popular commodities, and from those offerings, you're going to drill down to the asset that you want to trade. Do I want to trade the euro dollar, the E-mini S&P? Do I want to trade crude oil? Once you've made the decision on which instrument you want to trade, you want to select your expiration time frame. And that depends on your trading style and how you trade. You could choose a weekly binary option, which would expire at the close of markets on Friday. You could go on Monday. You could take a look at Stevens' weekly analysis of the markets, determine based on daily and weekly charts that the S&P 500 is likely to drift north. Make a weekly binary options trade based upon the fact that the S&P 500 will be higher on Friday than it is on Monday. You could make a binary options trade on with a daily expiration, which would be close of market. Hourly, they have binary options that run every 2 hours. They also have 20-minute and 5-minute binary options, which are very fast-moving trades. Next, you want to determine whether you want to buy or sell the market and how many contracts you want to trade. You want to determine the price you want to pay for a contract. And once you have that information, you're not placing your order through a broker, you're placing it directly on the exchange. When that happens, you can let that trade ride to expiration. Say if it's a 2-hour time window, you can just let it go for 2 hours, or you can close your position early. You can take profits, whatever profit is available, or you can minimize losses if you feel that the market is moving against you. How much does it cost? First of all, with Nadex, you can open up a 2-week demo account for free, and you'll get $25,000 in play money. You'll have full access to the Nadex platform, and you can actually test some of the strategies that I'll be talking about tonight. And by the way, I'm here in Austin, Texas, and this is just heavy allergy season, so if I start to lose my voice or I clear my throat a little bit, it's just because that's what people do in Austin. The minimum funding for a live Nadex account is only $100. That kind of gets you in the game. You can fund it for whatever you want, but $100 is the minimum funding for a Nadex account. The exchange fees charged by Nadex are 90 cents per contract per size, and that's capped at 10 contracts. So if you have 10 contracts, your round trip exchange fees for a contract that you open and close will be $18. If you close 20 contracts or 50 contracts, it would still be $18. So you can get some nice economies if you're trading a larger account and more contracts. If a contract expires unsuccessfully out of the money, the only fee that you pay is the fee to execute the order, but there is no settlement fee. So if you traded one contract for gold, for example, and that turned out to be out of the money and it was not successful, you would lose the money you put at risk. You'd only be charged the entry fee, but you would not be charged the exit fee. Quick summary of Nadex. They're based on simple yes or no propositions. You always know your risk reward before you place a trade. You have multiple markets you can trade. You have spike protection. You cannot get stopped out as long as the trade is active. It's regulated. It's regulated by the CFTC, and your funds are held in a segregated account, which makes it easy to deposit funds, and it makes it easy to withdraw funds. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit this presentation, and we're going to just jump into Nadex and take a look at the platform. When you go into Nadex, it's a really, really easy platform to navigate. And I'm going to take this little pane on the left. I'm going to drag it more toward the middle. This is your Nadex Finder. And in there you have a listing of all the popular indices. There's 8 indices, Hang Seng, FTSE 100, DAX, the Nikkei, S&P 500, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell 2K. There are 10 popular Forex pairs you can trade, and there are 7 commodities, copper, corn, crude oil, gold, natural gas, soybeans, silver. You can also trade Bitcoin, and you can also trade on news events. So I'm actually going to pull up, I'm going to go into Forex because a lot of those instruments are live and hopping right now, and I'm going to take a look at one of the strategies that we're going to be talking about a little bit later tonight in this presentation. I call it the sausage and sushi trade. It's the It's the euro yen, and it's a strategy that runs actually from right now until 11 o'clock. So in advance, you'll see that I've plotted two vertical lines. That is a time period between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock p.m. And I've plotted support and resistance lines where the marketplace has peaked out and where it's bottomed out during the 6 and 8 time period. This strategy couldn't get simpler, and when I get to that strategy, we'll see how it's progressing. But basically, if the marketplace breaches support, I'm going to I'm going to sell the marketplace from the first Nadex strike price all the way over on the right is 132.40. I'm going to sell that market for the best risk reward I can get. And if this marketplace churns up and breaks resistance between 8 and 11, I'm going to buy the market from the first strike price below the resistance line. I'll get into that some more, but this trade will be going active in the background. To place a trade in Nadex, you simply click the buy or the sell button, and up comes a ticket. This is to buy the market. And it's going to be populated with the current market price to buy the market. You select the number of contracts you want to trade, and you always know on the bottom of the ticket what your maximum loss and what your maximum profit is for that particular proposition. So we'll get back to that later. I'm not going to place a trade here. But oftentimes what I do with these tickets, since there's a lot of time in here, if the current price buying is $38.25, I've got 3 hours left in this trade. A lot of things can happen. What I will do if I'm convinced that the marketplace is going to move north is I may amend that ticket and try to get $30 to make $70 versus $38 to make $61. And it'll be a limit order. It'll wait in the queue until the market comes bid down and fills me. And if I have a lot of time left in the trade, that's exactly what I do. So really, Nadex is just a matter of choosing your instrument, choosing the time frame that you want to trade in, selecting the market, finding what price you want to do. You can pop in all of your favorite indicators. So I'm going to go back to this particular trade on the euro yen. And let me just pop in let me go up here where it says technical analysis. I will pop in the 8 EMA, the T line. And I like my charts really clean. I'm going to pull up moving averages, but I'm just going to select the 50 moving average. Drop that in there. And for stochastics, I'll set them at 1233 because I really like those settings. And now I have the marketplace as it's moving relative to the T line. It's traveling underneath the 50-period moving average. Stochastics are moving down toward oversold. And I've got some more information to help me make a decision relative to the market. So we'll get back to that trade and see whether we get a breach on support or resistance. That happens almost every night. Really that's Nadex in a nutshell. It's so simple to use. When you open up your demo account, you'll have access to full functionality of this platform. You got $25,000 in play money. Now, Nadex resources. To get the Nadex demo, you want to go to tradingpub.com/demo. Go to presentation mode. And couldn't be easier to open up a Nadex demo account. It is simply, come on baby, you create a username, first name, last name, phone number, email address, apply for demo. For 2 weeks, funded with $25,000 in play money. So you can get going. You can apply strategies that you like to use. You can apply some of the strategies I'm going to talk about tonight and see how they work for yourself in demo. To fund an account, you just go to tradingpub.com/Nadex. And this is where things are just exciting. I was so used to seeing U.S. information. But you'll fill in your address, your residential address information, and there are 49 countries populated in that list. So Australia, Estonia, Finland, Germany, Gibraltar, Hong Kong, Hungary, Iceland, India, Israel, Italy, Japan, South Africa, Mexico, Netherlands, 49 countries, Russia, Sweden. So you choose your country, fund your account. You can fund it with as little as $100. And by the way, if you fund that account with $100 and you open one trade, just contact NATO and they'll open up your demo platform for a whole year so you can continue practicing before you really start committing resources to this particular trading instrument. TradingPub.com, that's who I work for. We provide free education for stocks, options, futures, Forex, and Nadex. And we have a ton of information on our website from the best presenters on each one of those instruments in the world. So under Nadex, if I go under free education, I publish all the time a trade of the day, a particular strategy. Tonight I'm going to be talking about what I call the sausage and sushi trade. And I publish in there a breakdown of the rules of how to engage with that strategy. My rules are pretty simple. How that particular strategy played out that evening. I annotate everything so you can follow it along and see how the rules were applied, how the decision was made, and how the trade finally played out. And then finally, I published the probability report, which is a monthly blog newsletter that has a calendar of sponsored events. And I also feature a Nadex article of the month and a webinar of the month that I find that is helpful. Okay, a little bit about my trading plan. I started trading again in June of 2014. I dove right into Nadex. I loved it, and after demoing it, I funded a small account with a little bit less than $2,000. With that small account, I have a daily trading goal of $50 in profits. I never risk more than 5% of my time. So I've learned how to establish some discipline after making a couple of rookie mistakes. When I find out about a new strategy, I test it at least 20 times in demo before I go live or before I even talk about it. And the probability of success of that trading strategy has to be greater than the risk or reward that I'm committing to that trade. So I've got no problems personally risking $80 to make $20, but I have to know with certainty that that strategy has a historically 85% or greater probability of success. If I'm risking 60 to make 40, I just need to know that my probability of success is 70% or greater, and so on and so forth. My probability of success always has to exceed my risk to reward. Okay, this is a Nadex ticket that I showed you earlier, and this is basically the way I do most of my trading. When you click on a proposition, the ticket on the left is going to come up with what the current market price is for that particular proposition. In this case, I'm looking at trading the DAX, or the Germany 30 index in Nadex. I've got 2 hours and 40 minutes left in that particular trade. I've got the bid and the offer price up there. I'm buying it because that's what my indicators are telling me to do. And it tells me how many lots I want to buy, how many contracts I want to buy, and what the current market price is. Well, I've got 2 hours and 40 minutes left in this trade. It's saying that if I want to get in the market right now, my risk is going to be $61.50 to buy it to make a maximum profit of $38.50 per contract. While that might be fair, I'm buying something that someone else wants to sell me. And I've got some time left in this contract. So what I typically do is place a working order. I'll take the same proposition and I'll modify the price to, in this case, 40. I've got 2 hours and 40 minutes. I'm going to see if the marketplace comes down and picks me up. And if you're in a volatile or choppy market, that happens it happens a lot. So now I'm engaging the marketplace on my terms. I'm risking less. My maximum profit is more. I feel better about things because I got things on my terms, and it greatly helps my trading state of mind. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 3 trading strategies, and we're going to get right down to what's on today's menu. I've got a breakfast, lunch, and dinner trade, and these work really well, particularly if you work during the daytime 9 to 5, and your schedule doesn't permit you to be in the market, to participate in the market. It opens at 9:30 East Coast time. So we're going to start off with a breakfast trade. I call it the Strudel. Forgive me for just a second. Okay. I've got the German Strudel strategy, and I want to thank Tom Busby of Diversified Trading Institute for this particular observation that he shared with me. What Tom said back in August was that the 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time hourly candle for the DAX market directly influences the next hourly candle. And he had several things he was making observations about, and he just kept on going because he was talking futures. And I went, wait a second, this is a binary proposition. If that's actually true, I need to investigate this. So I back-tested 30 days, and I was amazed. He was right. Almost every single day, the 7 a.m. hourly candlestick on the German DAX market, if it's bullish on the 7 a.m. hourly candlestick, the 8 a.m. hourly candlestick will not close below the opening price of the 7 a.m. candlestick. Conversely, if the 7 a.m. hourly candlestick on the DAX is bearish, the 8 a.m. hourly candlestick will not close above the 7 a.m. candlestick. And I said, with that kind of information, I can have some fun with Nadex. So I went into a testing period, and I'll disclose the results of that particular test as we go through this. So here's how I prep for the Strudel strategy. I fire up my computer just before 7 o'clock Eastern Time. I check the economic calendar. I like investing.com, others like Forex Factory. I check the daily, hourly, 15 and 5-minute charts for the DAX. Is the market likely going to move up or down? On a 15-minute chart, I take a look at the T line, the 8 exponential moving average, the 50-period simple moving average, slow stochastic oscillator set at 1233, and just for the fun of it, I'll also pull up the 5-minute Ichimoku cloud to see where the market is relative to the cloud. Then on Nadex, I will choose the time period between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. And then it's just a matter of watching the market. This is really more about price action than anything else. I want to watch the 7 a.m. hourly candlestick develop. And this can be patient, because if it's going sideways, it'll head fake you every once in a while. It'll move bullish a little bit, then bearish, then bullish, then bearish. I wait for it to make up its mind. And once I'm convinced that the 7 a.m. hourly candlestick is bullish, then I buy the DAX for the Germany 30 from the first strike price below the 7 a.m. hourly candlestick. If it's bearish, I do the exact opposite. I have to be convinced the candlestick is bearish, and I will sell the DAX from the first Nadex strike price above the 7 a.m. opening price, hourly opening price. Now that I've made that decision, I can place a market order, which will typically be which will almost always be an in-the-money order, which has more risk to reward, or I can place a limit order, which I usually do, and see if the market will come back to fill me. I have about typically more than an hour before the trade expires, and markets can do interesting things. So I like to place limit orders, but really placing an order is a function of your risk-reward appetite. And if the marketplace is really moving on a strong uptrend or downtrend, I will consider doing a Nadex spread instead of a Nadex binary option. And I don't have time today to talk about spreads, but it's a really nice option to know about. Okay, so I'm going to go through 4 days of the Strudel strategy, moving left to right. The little arrows that I have are pointed to the 7 a.m. hourly candlestick. You have a bullish small candlestick followed by a bullish big candlestick. If I buy below here, can you just see how the 7 a.m. candlestick was here and then it was bullish? The next candlestick was also bullish. It closed above the opening price of the 7 a.m. candlestick. Next hour, we have a bearish candlestick. Next candlestick is a doji, but it didn't close above the opening price of the 7 a.m. That one's good. Next day, 7 a.m. candlestick, bullish, bullish. Didn't close below the opening price, and then the final day, I've got a bearish candlestick followed by a bearish candlestick. And if you backtest the DAX market, you can get that feed on investing.com. You can get it on, certainly on Nadex, on your demo platform. If you backtest that over 20, 30 days, you're going to see that this pattern repeats itself with amazing consistency. It's better than 80% of the time. Exceptions to the rule. And this is where some of Stephen's indicators come in helpful. Never get in front of a falling knife. This is a market on a very sharp downward progression. It slices through the T line, gaps away from the T line. This is the 4 a.m. hourly candlestick, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., gaps away from the T line. 7 a.m. candlestick was merely a retracement back to the T line. If I followed the rules to the letter, today would have been a loser because I would have bought right below the market, right below this candlestick, and then the next hourly candlesticks were made basically a continuation of the downtrend. So I keep an eye on where the marketplace is traveling, especially on an hourly basis relative to the T line. This doesn't happen very often, but I got burned once or twice and I learned my lesson. Okay, so here's a trade that played out on February 20th. And these vertical lines here represent the 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. time period. 7 a.m., gigantic bullish move on the marketplace. So I'm saying this is going to be bullish. And then for the rest of the first hour, this is a 5-minute chart, the marketplace worked itself back, almost back to the opening price, but slightly bullish. Okay, I've got rules at that point in time. I don't care how bullish it was. The 7 a.m. hourly candlestick closed bullish. So what I'm going to do, these little boxes on the right are the strike prices. 7 a.m. was right here. I'm going to buy the market from 10,986, which is what I did once it was confirmed bullish. And then the marketplace ground up, and it came down and it filled my order. I was risking $50 to make $50, so I got 1-to-1 on that. And I also backed it up because it was available to me. The next price strike down the ladder, I bought that for insurance. I could risk 80 to make 20. I bought 3 contracts. So the max profit on the bottom proposition was $60, and this one was $50. My rationale behind that is if for some reason the marketplace takes out this one, I'm covered by this one. But I have an 80% probability that this can be successful. So as this got filled, the marketplace came down, and it actually threatened, this wick actually threatened this proposition, and then it ground right back up, and it expired right here in the money above both of my orders, so I picked up $110 in profit, less exchange fees. Okay, when I first found out about the Strudel strategy, I mentioned I have to do things in test, and I tested this thing 40 times. So here we go. I'm going to get right down to it. 40 trades were executed and recorded. All of them were done in a demo account. They were all done between 7 and 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and I strictly adhered to my rules. In fact, every trade that I placed was 1-to-1, risking 50 to make 50, and it assumed that I had a $500 opening balance, risking 50 per trade, and I did not exit any contracts early. I held everyone to expiration. So here we go. I did this in September. Here's the first 10-day period. I've got 8 wins and 2 losses, picking up $300. Second 10 days, I had 9 wins, 1 loss, picking up $400. Third 10-day period, I had 2 losses, 2 no-fills, and 6 wins. I picked up $200. Fourth 10-day period, I had 3 losses, 6 wins, and 1 no-fill. And when you add it all together, I had done 40 trades in test mode. I had 29 successful trades, which yielded me $1,450 in profits. I had 8 unsuccessful trades, which cost me $400. I had 3 no-fills, which cost me nothing, and that left me with a net profit of $1,050. When I add that to my $500 initial balance, that takes me to $1,550. My exchange fees for 40 trades were $59.40, which left me for a net of $1,490, or a 200% return on the $500 opening balance, with a 1-to-1 risk reward, and no trades were exited early. Now, that was between September and December. The markets were far less volatile than they are right now, and this thing ran beautifully. I can tell you from January to now, I'm not losing trades, but I'm getting a lot more no-fills, and that's because the marketplace is moving with a lot more passion, a lot more direction, and sometimes I just can't get the risk reward that I want. And now I'm starting to test adding Nadex spreads, where I can basically treat Nadex like a conventional trade and just profit on the number of ticks as the market runs away from me in one direction or another. Okay, so boy, time is really running on me. I'm going to move straight to lunch. At lunch, we had the 11 to 1 a.m. Caret trade. And I've got to thank Sean Jantz, founder of the Binary Trade Group, for this particular strategy. He's got a great website and a very enthusiastic group of traders that are trading with Nadex. The Caret is the upside down symbol, the upside down V, that resides above the numeral 6 on your keyboard. And it describes a very common pattern on major U.S. indices at lunchtime, Dow and NASDAQ. And this pattern repeats itself almost daily, and it's called almost daily if the setup is appearing on the Binary Trade Group private Facebook group. So Sean, you know, you can enter this trade by doing a couple things. You could draw some support and resistance lines on where the market has been, and you could sort of determine where the market's going to go. But Sean really goes the extra mile. Excuse me. He starts the day with a daily. Oh, first of all, this is what it kind of looks like. Here's the upside down V. We're using the 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock time period. I've basically put vertical lines here. And you can see how the S&P just did this upside down V. It ground up from the morning session, got to like near noon, ran out of steam, and then just dove downhill. And this is the pattern that you're looking for. And basically it happens as the more you go into the lunch hour, as this is moving up, volume is declining. And you get to a point where the market just runs out of gas, and that's where you want to watch for the reversal, place a sell trade, and watch that thing run away from you, and you can just enjoy lunch, and lunch is on Nadex. So Sean does a daily battle plan that he usually puts out at nighttime, in the evening or in the morning, and he's basically taking a look at the S&P 500, the Russell 2K, on the daily charts, on the 4-hour charts, and he plots value areas. And the cool thing about the interesting thing about the Binary Trade Group is, instead of looking where the marketplace is likely to go, their emphasis is where the marketplace is not likely to go. they're basically taking a look at places where the market just statistically just is not going to be going, and they're basically giving you the triggered information you need to make a decision to either buy or sell the market and not be threatened by it. And he uses Keltner channels and Fisher transformers and point of control, volume spread analysis. He does a lot of things to come up with his daily battle plan. And then, in this particular, in that trade that you saw earlier, this is actually his battle plan going into that particular chart. As the marketplace was grinding up, excuse me, the market was moving into Keltner resistance. A reversal star candle was forming. Lunchtime volume was fading, and the Fisher transformer was starting to line up overbought. And as soon as that marketplace started to turn the corner and go downhill, he informed his group once again, here they are, here the bearish red candles. Fisher transformer is going sell, 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 sell. It's time to sell at a point above the apex of this Caret formation, and you're good to go. So here's the trade again. Basically, the marketplace is moving uphill, volume is declining, it gets to a place where it starts to transform. In this particular trade that I took, can you see how far that arrow was above the market? It was never getting threatened as that went downhill. It's the closest thing to free money that you can ask for. So I risked 80. I actually bought 2 contracts on this, sold 2 contracts on this particular day, picked up 40, and I didn't even have to think about it. Okay, so recap on the lunchtime Caret trade. You want to watch the S&P 500, Russell 2K, or other indices go into the 11 a.m. Hour. You select the 11 to 1 p.m. Nadex time frame. You want to watch to see if volume is on the decline going into the lunch hour. Is the market grinding up going into the lunch hour? Are your indicators and oscillators showing overbought conditions? Is the market starting to develop a reversal pattern? Once that reversal pattern is confirmed, place a sell order. Your average, since you're going to be in the money, your average risk will be somewhere between $80, excuse me, or $85 for a deep in the money trade, but the market is not likely to come back and threaten. So that's the Caret trade, and now I'm going to move to dinner time. And this is the 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock sausage and sushi trade. I call it the sausage sushi trade because I used to call it the 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock Euro-Yen Asian evening trading session strategy, and that's just way too much to say. So I asked, they paired the sausage with the euro and sushi for the yen, and I was just fine with that. It could also be the beer and sake trade. I want to thank Crystal Comber, CEO of SlickTrade.net, for this strategy that she observed on this particular evening session trade. And depending on where you live, East or West Coast, it can be a nice after dinner or a dinner trade. It relies heavily on price action and not on indicators. And if you know how to draw a support and resistance line, you can do this trade. So this is what the trade looks like. And you saw a glimpse of it when I was back in when I was showing you Nadex. But what I do is between 6 and 8 p.m. Eastern time is I draw, I basically frame that territory with 2 vertical lines. And then between that time period, I draw a resistance line based upon candle body closes and not the wicks, and support for the same reason, candle body closes and not the wick. And then after 8 o'clock, I just watch the market. If the resistance line is breached, I'm going to buy the market at the first Nadex strike price below the resistance line. If the support line is breached, I'm going to sell the market for the first Nadex strike price above the support line. So let's just play out this trade. It's 8 o'clock and the marketplace grinds north, and the second 2 5-minute candles up there, resistance is tested, but it's not a hard breach. it goes up there and it comes back down there. So I'm going, I'm going to take note of that. The bias of this market is going to be to the upside. And the further thing on this trade, I knew the bias was going to be there because, see this big, around 850, this big green candlestick? There was some Japanese economic news that was released that day that was bearish. And that has a bullish impact on the euro-yen. So it moved up this way. I felt after resistance was breached a couple of times or tested that the bias would be the upside. On this day, I placed a pending or a working buy order, risking $60 to make $40. Way up there, I think the current market was like $80 to make $20. Yeah, but I just stayed patient and I placed an order. Fortunately, the market came right back down. It filled me, and then it started moving its way north. Oops. Resistance got firmly breached at 9:15, and from there on in, the marketplace was good. My buy order was way down here, and there was nothing but blue sky above it. That trade was never threatened, and this pattern repeats itself almost every night. In fact, last night was the first time in a couple months of looking at this that I actually didn't see the resistance or the support line broken, and I didn't take the trade. The market traded sideways between resistance and support for 3 hours, and it felt too much like gambling to me. So, the rules for the sausage and sushi trade: select the euro-yen currency pair with an 11 o'clock daily expiry. At 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, draw horizontal lines for support and resistance for the 6 to 8 p.m. time period. And you can switch up 30-minute charts. You want to be aware of any economic news being released, and at that hour it'll be all about Japan. If the news is bullish, it's going to have for Japanese economic news, it'll have a bearish influence on that currency pair. If it's bearish Japanese news, it'll have a bullish influence on the euro-yen. Okay, once again, if you're going to sell the market, that means that the support line has been breached, and you want to find the first strike price above the support line. You can place a market order, or you can place a limit order. And once again, I have a bias to placing limit orders because if it's breached and you got a couple hours left in the trade, a lot can happen. You might get a better risk to reward. If you want to buy the market, then you're going to buy once the resistance line is breached from the first Nadex strike price below the resistance line. And then you can place a market order or a limit order. On average, risk to reward with this thing, if you want to trade this thing consistently and have an order, when I talk to Crystal, the average risk to reward on this particular trade is risking 70 to make 30. But it's amazing how consistent this trade is. So that's pretty much it. That's the sausage and sushi trade. Works almost every night. You can go to slicktrade.net, and they have people following that strategy nightly. And sometimes it's fun with a new trading platform and new trading instruments to be among people that are versed in trading a particular strategy. So let me. That being said, it's 7:49. Let me go back to Nadex really quickly and see how our sausage and sushi trade is doing. See if we got a breach. Maybe we do. Hope it's not like last night. Still don't have. Oh, yep. We had a hard breach. Right here, there's a support line between 6 and 8. This is going to be a sell. So the current market $20.75. I've got 2 hours left in this thing. I'm going to try to see if I can get, I'll just place one contract. And I'm going to see if I can get Crystal's average. So I've just placed a pending order. It's going to be grayed out. Right here, I'm selling. from the first strike price available above the support line. So I'm adhering to my rules. And if I were to place a market order on that, all I'd have to do is agree to the current sell price, $20.50. This thing would go to gray, and it would go to a live order. And then, in all likelihood, I'll be in pretty good shape. But I still have time on my side. The only place where this is going to get away from me is if this market takes a real big dive, and there won't be a market. So sometimes it doesn't pay to be greedy, but you know, there's always another day to trade, and I like to trade on my particular terms instead of someone else's terms. So let's just do a couple other things right now. I want to see where this market is, whether it looks like it's overbought or oversold. Let me go to my 12-3 indicator. Okay, Stevens stochastics. I'm moving up here. Let me drop in my T-line, see what's going there. It's riding below the market. Right now, gapped away. It's sort of gapping away, but it's not breaching the T-line to the upside. And let me just see what the 50-period moving average is doing. Yeah, and it's still underneath the 50-day moving average. Bias will be to the downside. The sell order looks good. Hoping I can get a retracement in 2 hours to pick up $30 profit instead of 20. We'll see what happens. Okay, a couple final things. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Nadex binary options can give you a trading edge. And these the trading strategies that I just discussed. 9-to-5 job is you can do it before you get to work. You can do a trade on your lunch hour. You can do one when you get home. And as long as you you know, have good trading discipline and follow the rules, you can incrementally grow your Nadex account. It's a managed risk vehicle to help you with your consistency. Your risk is defined. You always know your maximum profit and loss. A trade cannot run away from you. There's no such thing as a runaway trade or a margin call. You can see your trade through to expiration, or you can get out early. There's a low capital investment to get involved with Nadex. $100 if you can open an account and give you a seat on the exchange. The Nadex real-time charts and trading platform is free to use. It is now available in 49 countries, which gives an opportunity for great liquidity. This market is growing, and I think it's going to be a great way. By the way, this presentation is not a suggestion that you don't trade what you're already trading, but it can be a very nice way to provide incremental income and help you hedge your positions. You can download the free Nadex demo at tradingpub.com/demo. And then TradingPub, when you do that, you send an email. Once you download your demo or fund an account, send an email to support@tradingpub.com, and we'll make sure to give you a link to a library of resources that you can use to get you started with Nadex binary option. That is my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I'm going to be open to questions. First of all, do we have a lot of international traders here? If so, it's coming to your country. And how was the presentation? Thailand, Canada, good. Yep, it's coming to you. Post the demo link, please. Okay, that's tradingpub.com. tradingpub.com/demo. You know, I think about all those poor people, hopefully they're none in this room, that got by the Swiss National Bank announcement several weeks ago, and you know, that tanked a lot of people. That would have never happened with Nadex. Okay, I've got a lot of questions flying in here. Wait, I will try it. Are there any questions about the strategies? Michelle says, how is liquidity and slippage? Really, the liquidity really depends on the marketplace that you're trading. Some of the marketplaces, some of the markets like soybeans don't have a lot of liquidity right now, but it's getting better and better with the more people that are coming into the market. And with the international opening up, you're going to see some really tight bid-ask spreads. The other thing is Nadex is very, very responsive to its users. If they get a lot of people asking for a particular currency pair or a particular time frame or different strike prices, they just do it. I've seen so many changes to Nadex for the good in the past couple of months. How do I get a longer demo account time? Well, you've got 2 weeks, Bill. You got 2 weeks to do it, and I suggest when you do the demo, really pound on it, and then after that, you can fund it for $100. Place one trade, call Nadex, and you can place a trade risking $10 to make 90. It's either going to win or it's going to lose. But once you execute one trade, call them up and extend your demo for a year, and then you can get into the market, into trading. Once you've gone through your demo process. On the sausage and sushi trade, 1 minute charts, 15-minute charts, 30-minute charts. I typically use 15-minute charts because you're dealing with a longer time frame. And but really at the end of the day, you're just looking for resistance and support to be breached. Once that happens, you're making a buy or a sell decision. And when you back test that, just go back every single night between 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock, draw a support and resistance line and see if it gets breached and what happens. Oh. What time frame do I set support resistance lines on? Crystal's recommendations are to do it on an hourly time frame. No brokers are involved. You're placing directly on the exchange. I've heard horror stories about brokers not paying their clients. Yeah, Jim, that's the overseas brokers. And there are a lot of unscrupulous people out there that you're betting against the house. You're not dealing with an exchange. People aren't getting money. I mean, I don't want to go too much into it, but I've heard a lot of horror stories, which makes me really happy that Nadex is now available in many of those countries where people have no other options. This session is being recorded. And yeah, and Ryan, the strategies I listed are on Trading Pub. I have a blog called The Inquisitive Trader, and if I'm not swamped, almost every day I pick off a strategy that's either one of mine or one that I've been following from a friend. I break it down, show you the rules of the strategy, how it played out. There are great discussion groups. Linda just put up something with the binarytradegroup.com. That's a great Facebook group. There's a Facebook group called Nadex Trading Ideas where a lot of people that are, I go there quite a bit, that are Nadex trading veterans, share their ideas, share their results. Some of them call trades. These are people that are, I like it because everyone's trying to help everybody. How do you get the probability report? It's probabilityreport.blogspot.com. Or you can Google probability report. There are not too many of us out there, I don't think. Is the DAX available for viewing on Thinkorswim? No, it's not. You can get the feed on Nadex directly, or you can get it on, or you can get them on investing.com. There are a couple of other platforms, but the DAX is not available on Thinkorswim. By the way, I'll be sending out an email. I'll be sending an email to Candlestick Forum with some of the resources that you need. So don't worry too much about the links that are on here. Okay. See, we got some folks from the Binary Trade Group in there, Linda. Sean hanging out in here. Very good. Any other questions? Well, it's 8:01. I've actually managed to. I was really sweating to see if I could get 3 strategies plus a guided tour of Nadex into 1 hour, and I've done it successfully. So I'm breathing a sigh of relief. And Stephen, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you very much, Campbell. Very good, interesting stuff. Again, here's another interesting market to look at. If this is something that fits your trading style or your trading nature, definitely take a look at Campbell's information. With that, everybody have a good evening. We'll see you in the chat rooms tomorrow.